All right, good morning. So today we have our three of our counseling department members with us. And we're going to be focused on primarily the 11th and 12th grade. That doesn't mean if you have a question about 9th and 10th that we won't answer it, but we're primarily focused on the 11th and 12th grades today. So I'm going to let the counselors introduce themselves. So I don't know, Jill, you want to start?
Sure. Hi, my name is Jill Shootman. I'm the head counselor and I work with students whose last names are DU through LE through the first name K. So I'm a small part of the alphabet, DU through LE, 9th through 12th grade students. And we also have Ms. Ellis with us today.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Nicole Ellis, and I'm one of the counselors working with students with last names SI to Z. And my caseload shifted a little bit this year, so just kind of a heads up.
And then we have Miss Iseed with us as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Margaret Iseed. I'm actually new to Piedmont, but I'm not new to counseling. I've actually been a counselor over in San Jose Unified at Lincoln High School for the last 10 years. And I work with students last names Nguyen, first name K, all the way through last names that start with SH. And I'm really excited to be here at Piedmont.
We are excited to have you here. Okay, I know, Jill, did you want to?
I thought maybe I'd start by just showing them where to find all the information, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to quickly do a screen share. And so a great question that already came up in the chat is, how do I find where all these events are and when the different times are for them? And so everything related to our department, the school counseling department, is all going to be on the Piedmont website. So in a couple of places. So one of them is on our counseling tab. If you go down to presentations, you'll notice that everything that we're doing is here. So if it's already done, the presentation is already linked. If it's not yet done, it'll show you the date. And sometimes it even has a save the date where you can click and it will add it to your calendar. And so for the ones we've recently done in fall, we've met with every grade level now so far, and we've had a parent night for every grade level. And so again, if you go on this link, you can see all of these are a link to the actual presentation. If a student is a senior, we even have their college application workshop presentations. Still waiting for the CSU to release theirs. And so you can also look ahead to see, for example, if you have a younger student, when are we starting the scheduling process? We already have that mapped out. And then we even have our spring presentations mapped out already. I had all of these as links that you could click on and it would put it on your calendar as a save the date. And somehow it all got wiped out. So I'm adding those again. They should be in there soon. So where it says coming soon, it's going to be a link you can click on and it will be able to add to your calendar. And so this is one place to find all of the presentations for our department, both what we've already completed and then also what we have upcoming. And so it's a good resource for you as parents. So the ones that we most recently did are the 11th and 12th grade parent night. And so our 11th grade parent night was just 2 nights ago. And then I think it was last week or the week prior was our senior information night. And senior information night is packed. It has all the information for post high school, college applications, financial aid. So it's a really busy night. And we know that it's almost too much information at once. And so we do have another event coming up. So if you're a parent of a senior and financial aid felt a little bit overwhelming, don't worry, because in addition to all the different college application workshops we also have a financial aid hands-on workshop. And so it is virtual. There's going to be 2 different sessions and you choose based on your work schedule. So 4 to 5:30 or 5:30 to 7, whichever works for you. There's already a registration link so that it can add to your calendar. And it would be basically step-by-step instructions on how to fill out either the Fafsa or the DREAM Act for parents who need a little bit of extra support with that. Or just to review, you feel like you have it down, but you just want to go in here and make sure you've done it correctly. If the 30th does not work for you, we have most schools in our district and even in our community that are going to be offering an event. So as soon as I have it, I will send you the flyer so you know when all the different events are in case there's a date that works a little bit better with your schedule. So that's what's upcoming for seniors. There's one more event in this fall. That would be the FAFSA or Financial Aid Step-by-Step Help. And so we're here today to answer any questions that you have from any future events or any of the things that we've recently done. So feel free to put them in chat and we'll get started. Does someone want to maybe read off questions and
Yeah, I can read the questions when they come up. One thing that, you didn't mention, Jill, and I'm assuming this question on here, about where we put stuff on the website. And I would say, like, just generally all school events, we try to get them on the website. They're usually on the calendar, which is on the homepage. And so that's, but is there a good resource for like college application deadlines and like when all the stuff is due, or are you just looking at specific colleges?
So that's in the senior presentation, was probably be where I would look for all of that information. For private schools, it varies. So you'll never find this is the deadline for private colleges because they can be all over the place. But for the UCs and the CSUs, any of our senior presentations, that'll be within that. It used to be very simple: CSU, UC, November 30th, and that was that. But now some of the CSUs are extending their deadline, but not all. So I think just a safe rule of thumb is if your child's done by November 30th, they have met the deadline for both UC and CSU. If you want to look to see if there's a later deadline for a certain CSU, you're welcome to. But I think as long as you really aim for that November 30th date, then they'll be fine to meet both UC and CSU deadlines.
Okay.
And then regarding, I was just going to add that regarding financial aid. So seniors actually can apply for that for next school year, starting on October 1st. And then the priority deadline is March 2nd. So they actually apply starting now to get their financial aid for college next year. So just a reminder of that.
Oh, definitely. And so our event's on November 30th. So if you come to our event, you're going to be right on track, because again, it opened on the 1st. Like she said, you have to have it done by March 2nd to be considered for state aid, California aid. So as long as you come to our event on the 30th and submit shortly after, you're ahead of the game. All right. What other questions do we have?
Oh, you guys are shy with questions today.
We're going to be flattered and think that we did such a good job at our presentation.
Nicole, can you repeat what you just said about the financial aid?
Yeah, sure. So for the current seniors, the financial aid, the FAFSA, or the DREAM Act, those applications open on October 1st. And seniors will submit anytime between October 1st through March 2nd in order to get financial aid for the following school year in college. So they submit basically senior year to get it for the following year. And then we have the workshops to walk them through how to submit those applications.
And the workshops are for the parents too, because a lot of times, especially with the financial aid, the parents are really the ones.
Oh, definitely.
Filling out.
Yeah.
Yes, you can only apply for senior year. Like, you don't apply for financial aid early, correct? So
Yes.
The window right now are for current seniors applying for next year.
And if you're wanting just to get a head start to look to see what age you might qualify for, there is what's called a Fafsa Forecaster. And so basically you can go on and enter your information. It'll give you an estimate of the amount of financial aid you might receive. So for any younger families, you can use the Fafsa Forecaster, but you don't apply yet. You can't apply until October 1st of your student's senior year. And we do talk about the Fafsa Forecaster in our junior information night. So if you click on that presentation, one of the slides is the Fafsa Forecaster. And for our senior parents, in the senior parent night, we do have one of the slides is fall important dates, and it has both the dates that we have for workshops, and at the bottom it does have all the deadlines listed. Again, private school is the only one we can't give a definite deadline because they vary.
Claudia, you have your hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yes. Hi, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for doing this. So I had a question. During the fall presentation, there was a deadline. It was like a 9/23 to make sure it was either our emails or addresses were the same as when we apply, so that you can send the transcripts to the correct place. I'm sorry, I remember, and I was like, I didn't exactly know what that deadline was and what was I supposed to do. And I've been looking for the details and I wasn't able to find that.
Oh, sure. I can definitely answer that. So what happens there for financial aid, it's a two-part process. unless you're applying to private schools, and then they may have extra forms to fill out. But for public schools, UC, CSUs, community colleges, it's two parts. One part is the student and parent fill out the FAFSA, which is the financial aid application. Part two is the school or district will send the student's GPA, because for California aid, they do use their GPA in determining if they qualify for aid. And so they use income and their performance in school, their GPA. So we handle that submission for students. They don't have to do anything with that second step. They just need to meet the March 2nd deadline with their FAFSA. We'll handle the GPA submission for them. But because we don't collect social security numbers, the way that they link the two in the system is by the student's address. And so if we have the wrong address that we submit with your GPA, those two will never connect in the system, and then students might miss out on receiving state or California aid. And so the only thing you had to do by September 23rd was to double check that we had the correct address. I did also ask, because I had one last year where we had the wrong date of birth. So it was just check to see that we have the right demographic information for you. So when we send off your GPA and you do the FAFSA, those two are going to link up in the system. So if you think we might have the wrong address, I would just encourage your child to come by and see me, because I can do a one-time submission. Even though the district submits for thousands of students, I can do a single entry if I have to, if the address is not correct and it did not get updated in time. It was just, the goal was to get the district to submit the right information from the very start.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a couple of questions. First off, for UC application, when do we have to submit the official transcript? Do we only need to order one for all UCs, or we have to order multiple times for different UCs?
That is a great question. So I think sometimes students get confused because the UC system will share test scores, but they don't share transcripts. And so if you have to send to a UC, you have to send to everyone requesting. You can't just send to one and they share with each other. And so colleges, UCs and CSUs will ask for a final transcript for sure. So that's going to be the one that we're going to tell students how to order. We usually tell them to order it in May, and then we hold until grades are available. But sometimes colleges may ask a student to send an early one. They may want to see your progress, make sure you really are on track. So by the final one, obviously a student is just sending to one school because that's the school that they have selected to attend. But in the meantime, they might be applying to 5, 10, however many schools. And so what they have to do, and this is the hard part because they're not great at this, so this is where a parent can come in, they really have to monitor both their email, and if a college has like a portal with to-do lists, they need to monitor that. So if a college asks for a transcript early, it needs to be sent to that particular college. And there's no sharing among colleges, so it have to be sent early. If all it says is that you need to send a final transcript, then for that school, you don't need to send early. You can wait until the very last one. They do order transcripts, and that's in our senior presentation through a website called parchment.com. So if a school is asking for a transcript, please put in that request on parchment.com. So some students will get away with only ever having to send that final transcript. Other students might be asked by many colleges to send sometimes they'll call it a mid-year or a 7th semester transcript. And if they do ask for that, obviously, then yes, you do need to request it. For private colleges that use the common application, the counselor will upload the first transcript and the middle transcript. We just don't do final. And so UCs and CSUs, unfortunately, you're on your own. You have to order those. For private colleges that use the common app, since your counselor has to submit other paperwork, with that paperwork, there is a transcript for the first and the middle year transcript. I know that's a lot of information, but that's stuff that we keep sharing in all of our workshops with seniors. So we'll keep reminding them of that.
Okay, great. Our next question, isn't the FAFSA first come, first serve? So it's better to complete the application sooner the better.
So my understanding on that, and any counselor can jump in if you'd like, is that there is certain money that is entitled money. So basically, if you qualify, you're entitled to that money as long as meet deadlines. I do think there are other funds that might be first come, first serve. So, FAFSA, your school, for example, might have special scholarships or programs or additional aid that they can provide for you. So I would encourage you to apply early if you can. But in terms of the money that is just entitled to you by being low income and having met deadlines, that funding does not usually, that would be something that you would receive. There are, I know for the San Jose Promise Grant, some of the community colleges and free tuition, at first when it was starting out, it was for those who met the priority deadline. So I would be really careful to try and do it early, make sure you meet any college's deadlines for that funding that is limited. But there is some aid that just is entitled aid. As long as you meet the deadline, you will receive it. Counselors, if you heard anything different, feel free to jump in. Okay.
Good.
I got a thumbs up. I like it. Yeah. And this is actually a good point to stop and tell you that we are not financial aid advisors. So me personally, I try and be very careful answering too many financial aid questions because I would hate to give you wrong information. So basically our goal is to make sure you know when the deadlines are, you know what to do, and you know when workshops are. But in terms of getting into like the nitty gritty and discussing assets or income, that would be best handled at those Cash for College workshops, the one that we're having on November 30th. That's where a financial aid expert will be there and can give you information that maybe we don't have, since that's not really our role.
And I was just going to add, I would encourage, honestly, pretty much all seniors to submit the FAFSA or the DREAM Act, whichever is applicable to them, because some financial aid could be merit-based or income-based. And so you never know really what you may end up being able to qualify for. And the FAFSA and DREAM apply to students pursuing community college or 4-year. So
this is a good point, Nicole. Yeah. There was a question, what's the difference between the FAFSA and the DREAM Act? So this is because you're mentioning both of them. So if you can explain what the difference is between the two.
Yeah, definitely. So the FAFSA is for those that do have a social security number that are citizens. And then the DREAM Act is for those that do not have a social security number. So that's the difference.
Okay. Ms. Lena, it's iPhone, you have your hand up.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So yes, this has been very overwhelming. There's so much information. I feel like there's so many events, there's so many deadlines that it's been kind of hard to manage it all. And so this is really good that you're having this meeting. Now, we are in the process, we filled out the FAFSA, and we are in the process of submitting a CSU application. Now, my son, he wants to apply to San Jose State and then San Francisco State. Do we fill out that application each time for each school?
So with the CSU application, you fill it out and then you have to indicate the different schools you're applying to. The nice part is the information transfers over. And so once you've done, let's say you start with San Jose State and now you're going to be applying to San Francisco State, all of that information autofills. Sometimes a campus might have some supplemental information that they have you fill out for their particular campus. But the nice thing is it's not starting from scratch each time. And so it's like a smart application. What you've done already is going to be available. And so the CSU application workshop has already happened. I will post as soon as it's available the presentation because they did walk students through that step by step. We are also going to have some evening times where counselors are available on Zoom for application help. And so if students are stuck, they can log on to Zoom and go into a breakout room with a counselor and we can help them. And so, but once you're on there, I think it'll make a lot more sense. Once you fill out one, again, that information is going to be available for the others. And so what I would probably recommend is that we offer a lot of application help, and you'd be surprised no one shows up. And then all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving break and we have a million emails as we're eating our Thanksgiving meal. So what I'm going to really encourage you to do as parents is to have them attend our workshops early. So when we announce that, and we'll announce this to parents too, when there's application help in the evening, please encourage them to be there. Encourage them to done early. You know, they can do one last review before submitting, but we don't even want them to submit on November 30th because a lot of times the application will crash and there's issues with it. So our goal, I hope, is that most students are done before that holiday break so that they can just relax and enjoy. And because we're not as readily available during that time either. And so we'll have a couple nights early, and then unfortunately we will have that last minute night because we know some people wait, but there'll be plenty of support for them well before the 30th.
Okay,
And
that's
the
good.
student- Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna add an additional resource. So the Cal State Apply has it's called the Cal State Apply Applicant Help Center. And so you can use that resource to chat. There's like a live chat feature, which you can, chat with one of the agents to get application help as well.
Okay. And I know someone was talking about transcripts earlier. And so it seems like we have the entire application filled out for one school right now. We just haven't hit submit because we want to make sure that it's complete and nothing is missing. Because it's kind of scary. It says once you submit, like that's it, it's out in the universe.
Yeah.
So we're just being very cautious. Now, the transcripts, do they ask for it after or at what, we don't know at what point, like they would request it? And
that unfortunately that's the challenge, and they may ask it of one student and not another. And so occasionally a student might be still completing several of their A to B classes their senior year, and they want to make sure they're finding success in them. So there's a chance they may ask of it again for one student for that campus, but not another student who applied to that campus. So that's where we need students to really watch their email, watch their to-do list. So once you apply to a school, they're going to get an email and it's going to give them next steps. And so oftentimes in their next steps, they'll ask them to create like a portal, like for San Jose State, they have their San Jose State portal. And within that, it's going to have all their to-dos. And so if it says that you need to send a 7th semester transcript or a mid-year transcript, then that shows the student, okay, as soon as my grades are in January, I need to request a transcript. Or it may just say final transcript, in which case that's the end of the year, and they're only going to send if they choose that college. And so I wish I could give you like a set answer. Yes, this school's going to require it. No, this school won't. But it's unique to the campus. It can change by year. It can even vary by student. And so what I would encourage you to have your child do is whatever email address they use in their application, have them get into the habit of checking the spam or the junk in that email daily, because a lot of college information does go to junk or spam because it's being sent out to so many students, and that's where they're getting those important instructions for next steps. So if they're watching that junk or spam email carefully, if they create their to-do lists or their portals to watch their to-do list, they should not miss an important deadline, like if a campus were to ask for a transcript early.
And
For
then-
example, well, I was just
go
going
ahead.
to say, for example, last year, my daughter applied to 3 CSUs, San Jose State, San Francisco State, and East Bay. East Bay asked for a transcript, and it was just completely random, and they sent her an email and asking for the transcript. So, but
okay.
the other
and,
two did not.
and then at that point, do we contact the school to get the transcript so we could send it over to that school?
Yep, it would be actually requested online, and it's part of the senior presentation. It's how to order a transcript, and here's the website for that.
How to order a transcript.
Parchment.
Okay.
And then you also mentioned about something about being unsure when filling out the application, if all the classes and everything is inputted correctly. So when we did our senior classroom presentations, seniors got a copy of their graduation inventory or their unofficial transcript. And so you're going to want to have that official or unofficial transcript in front of you when you're inputting all of their coursework and grades from high school. So it's important to have that so that you can, enter it in exactly as it appears on their high school transcript.
Yes, we definitely have that present. And I think we still needed assistance. Shout out to Ms. Shootman for helping out with correctly filling out my son's portion and on the application, because I think he did cyber high and in English class during the summer, and it was a little tricky. So thank you for the help there. Okay, one last question, and then I'll let you answer other questions from other parents. one other thing is we did attend, I think it was last Wednesday, there was a presentation from San Jose State, and I just want the link, and I don't know where to find it because my son had a doctor's appointment. And so we were at the doctor's office trying to multitask, listen to the presentation and be in the appointment. So we listened to it, and there was so much good information, and there was contacts at San Jose State, like email addresses and people's names to contact. If we can get that, that would be great.
So I really, really want that too. And I keep bugging her. And so I actually sent her a message about an hour ago, just a reminder. So as soon as I get that from her, so after the presentation, there was a follow-up email thanking you for joining and saying, go on this link for the video. I can't find it anywhere on that page. So I've emailed her a couple of times that I'm asking for a copy of either the presentation or ideally the video. So as soon as I get it, that's the only thing that is not yet on our presentation page, is that CSU app link, because we're waiting for her to give that to us. So fingers are crossed. My follow-up email this morning is going to make a difference, and we'll get something very soon. And then as soon as I have it, I was going to send this out to all parents, reminding them that after presentations, they're all available here. I just didn't want to send it out until we had them all there. So hopefully that can be later today or tomorrow.
Oh, that would be very helpful. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having great questions.
So Jill, I saw you put something in the chat. Do you want to explain?
I did, yes. So this is kind of exciting. Hopefully you've already had a chance to get Infinite Campus parent portal access. That's where you can monitor grades for those teachers who are using Infinite Campus instead of School Loop. If you're having trouble getting access to that, you can reach out to Mr. Rosales, our parent and community involvement specialist, and he can help you create an account. For those who already have an account or coming soon, you actually have access to view a lot of information for your child on Infinite Campus. You can look at their grades, you can look at the assignments if the teacher's using it, you can look at their schedule. Once we start doing course planning for next year, you can look at the requests that they've asked for next year. The other thing is you can actually look at their unofficial transcript at all times. And so this is just a link to how do you look at their unofficial transcript. It shows you where to find it when you go into Infinite Campus, and then it will pop up. And this is just kind of a quick guide of how many credits they should have so far to know if they're on track. And so if anyone wants to access their child's unofficial transcript, again, you have access at all times to do that on Infinite Campus parent portal. If you are a parent of a freshman and it's not there, or it's there but nothing's in there, that's accurate because they don't have any official grades yet. So this document is a transcript, and we don't put progress grades on transcripts, only the final grade. So about mid-January is when it should be updated, and a freshman parent would finally see something showing.
So I just want to clarify with that. The final grades are the semester grades. So you'll see the semester grades, after our holiday break, the Christmas break. And then again, so January and June is when the transcripts are updated. Okay, so there was a question and also about transcripts. So for the Common App, we don't need to pay when the counselors send in the transcripts for us at the beginning and the middle of the year, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
You don't pay.
The only thing that we don't send is we don't send the final transcript. We're on the same work year as a teacher, so we're unfortunately not here when the final transcript becomes available. So what we do, and we tell students a million times, I even put a reminder in with their diploma, whatever school they choose, because we won't know that, they do need to request on parchment a final transcript be sent there. But there's no way for them not to know that unless they're really not paying attention, because they'll have reminders in class, reminder emails, parents have emails. And again, I even put a note in with their diploma so they can't forget that. It's important to note, though, that if students have taken coursework outside of Piedmont Hills, you need to send a final transcript from us and that other school. For example, not a lot, but a decent number of students take a community college course. Even if we post that on our high school transcript, that's still not an official transcript from the college. So if a student takes a class at Piedmont and Mission College or Evergreen College, when colleges want those final transcripts, they want them both from the college and from Piedmont, even if the course from the college appears on ours. So it was really sad. I had a student one year just send his Piedmont Hills transcript. He did not follow up with his Mission College, and he got his admissions offer revoked. And could not go to UC, I think it was Davis, had to go to a community college and transfer. And we really harp on that with seniors. And so again, even on my note in their diploma, it'll say, if you attended another school, make sure that you include a transcript, or you send a transcript from them as well. Really, if seniors are reading their emails and parents are, if we have their email, they're getting this information. I know it feels overwhelming, but for example, like college applications, there's going to be those help nights coming up. There's going to be reminder announcements over the loudspeaker and emails to students about deadlines. So I think as long as you're carefully checking your email and you're having your child carefully check their email each day, I think that they'll be fine in terms of meeting deadlines. It's just if they're not monitoring their email that they might miss something important. One thing to note is your child's email, the one that's the @students.esu, that actually expires 90 days after they graduate. So as they're filling out these applications, and we told them this, but we told them a lot in one meeting, so you might want to remind them, as they're filling out applications, I would encourage them not to use their eSide email because it's going to expire.
Yeah. So yeah, they should definitely have a different email address that's their own personal one that they get into the habit of using for colleges. And I want to just parents that, like, I know this is totally overwhelming. Like, I do this for a living. I hear these presentations every year. I am well versed on this. And then last year when my daughter was applying for college, I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what we're doing. It is super overwhelming. I very much sympathize with you. And I also, because if you're the parent of a senior and they seem super stressed out right now, they are. This is the time period, October through December of their senior year, I think is the most stressful time of high school. When they're applying for colleges, they just took the SAT yesterday. There's just a lot going on. They're really stressed out right now. That's normal. And actually next week, the social workers room back, and we're going to talk about what's normal for teenagers and what's more concerning and what you should look out for. But if you feel like if you have a senior at home right now and you feel like they're super stressed, they are, and that's normal. It's okay. They'll get past it.
And can I add?
Yeah, go ahead.
For our younger families, maybe not families, but students, we have workshops to help try our best to alleviate some of that stress. So for juniors, for example, they have a college application night or college information night in spring, and we'll tell them what they should do during the summer to kind of bring down some of that stress their senior year. It's still stressful regardless of what they do, but they can really help themselves by making sure they use their summer wisely, maybe get an early start on college essays or putting together their list of activities or doing research so they know where they're applying and what major they're choosing. So if you are a parent of a junior, please make sure that and they're applying to four-year college especially, I would really encourage you to attend our workshop. And we actually already have that on our calendar. It's like April 26th or something. I'll find that somewhere on here. And here we go, April 26th, college information night. So there will be support to try our best to bring down some of that stress senior year. For 9th and 10th grade parents, that's also just to let you know that will be there as well. So it's the best we can do to help make sure that students use their summers wisely so that they have the least amount of stress, their stress regardless, their senior year.
Have we mentioned we have to pay the fees for transcripts and college applications? What are the fees for the final transcript? And then I imagine college application fees vary.
So the final transcript is, I've heard so many answers to this. I really need Ms. Shea, the registrar, to give me a final answer. At first, she told me the amount, and then she said that it's actually free while they're in high school. It's once they graduate that they have to pay fees, so that their final transcript should be free.
I think it is. I think we don't charge for a final transcript, but we do charge, like if
prior
they graduated 10 years ago and now they're coming back and they need, because sometimes you need to show a high school transcript for an employer or something like that. We do charge for that, but the one that we give when they graduate, they do not have to pay for that.
Yes. And then application fees. So Ms. Ellis or Ms. IC, correct me, I believe it's $70 for both UC and CSU, 70 per campus. If you qualify for a fee waiver, then you get 4 campuses per system for free. And so students always want us to fill out a fee waiver for them. It's actually all embedded in the application. So however they answer the information at the beginning in terms of their family size and family income, if they qualify for a fee waiver, it will tell them that at the end of the application, and they will be allowed to apply to 4 campuses per system for free. So 4 CSUs and 4 UCs. If there's a unique situation, and this applies for both financial aid and college apps, if let's say your income was high last year, but there's been some significant change in your family income, somebody lost the job, unfortunately someone passed away, if there's something that has really changed your financial situation, that's when you need to reach out to the college campus and some exceptions can be made. So like, for example, when you're filling out your financial aid, you have to put last year's information, but again, that might not be relevant to what's going on in your life currently. If that's the case, I would reach out to the individual campus and they can make a special circumstance exception.
And then for the college application fees, for private colleges, that can really vary depending on the school. However, students can still qualify for fee waiver for the Common App or private schools, but it's going to be a different process in which their counselor has to verify for the student that they meet the income guidelines for fee waiver. So there were steps that we outlined in the Common App presentation for students to be able to do the fee waiver for private colleges that use Common App.
Amy's asking if we are a semester system school. Yes, Amy, we are. We are in a semester system. All right, my son is a senior. We filled out the FAFSA form. When do we know how much he's awarded, if any?
So students will start receiving information from the campuses that they apply to in terms of their financial aid plan. And that's actually something that students will want to look at before making their final decision. You know, there might be a school that can give a much more competitive financial aid package than another school. And so you will receive that information from the campus in plenty of time to make your final decision. So students have to commit to a campus on May 1st. And so you'll have information in time. I can't tell you exactly when each college is going to send that out. Definitely watch email in case that's how they communicate. They may communicate with you through their portal, but you will get an information sheet from the campus. And so there's also a student aid report that should be sent to you as well. And so that's information that's just in general in terms of financial aid, but in terms of what specifically that college campus is going to be able to provide to you, that will be sent from the campus. Once a student has applied, it'll take them a bit of time to get that information to you. But again, well in advance of having to make that May 1st commitment to a campus. So, and we do have information on like how to compare different financial aid offers that we give students in second semester. So they really know how to look at those financial aid packages and make decisions about which one is the best for them.
Can I just add something,
Yeah,
Ms.
please.
Shootman? So just to clarify, when you're completing the financial aid forms, whether that be the FAFSA or the DREAM application, you're wanting to include every single institution that you're applying to within the application. So you'll see that portion kind of towards the end of the application. It's asking like what school your student applied to. You want to ensure that you add every single one. And if you do end up changing your mind or adding a school later on, you will have to log back into your financial aid app and actually update that information and resubmit it. So let's say at this time you submitted it with San Jose State and San Francisco State, but your student ends up applying to a couple of UCs later on. You actually won't receive a financial aid offer from those institutions until you go back in to your FAFSA or your DREAM Act and update that information and then resubmit the form and then let that process. So it's super important that when completing the financial aid form that you make sure you include all colleges. And I always recommend that if you're even considering a community college, that you go ahead and just list that there as well, and you'll be able to qualify for the promise programs at the community college level as well. So just something to kind of keep in mind when completing the form. You're doing the 22-23 school year financial aid forms with your 2020 tax information.
Thank you. What other questions do you guys have? Scholarships. I've heard a lot of people mention about during applying for college. Is that the same with the FAFSA? If not, may you advise how and when to start scholarship applications, and when is it good to start to apply for those?
So scholarships, it's kind of a long answer. There are private scholarships, and we encourage students to apply for those, ongoing. They usually have scholarships that are available kind of about middle of high school, so maybe even junior year. When you apply for college, a lot of times you can indicate if you want to be considered for scholarships at that particular college campus. So there are private scholarships, there's college specific scholarships that they can provide for you. We are actually going to do a scholarship presentation. It's going to be on Wednesday for students. And so I can also put that in. I think I can double check. I'm pretty sure she's doing Zoom, but I'm not sure. It's Miss Miller Cody is going to run that one. There is for university scholarships, I would have you check their website. When it comes to private scholarships and how do we notify students, first of all, there's websites you can go to like fastweb.com, but there's also on Naviance, which is a resource our students heavily use for like college and career research. One of the areas in there is scholarships. So every time that Eastside gets information about scholarships for students, we put that in Naviance, and students can go in there and get that information. But again, there are just general scholarship resources where they can go on and fill out. And again, I'll put that in chat, that link. And then Naviance, I can also send instructions on how to find scholarships in there. While we're answering other questions, I'll also reach out to Miss Miller Cody and see if she's on Zoom. And if she is on Zoom on Wednesday, you guys are welcome to join her. That would be next Wednesday.
I also want to mention when we're talking about scholarships that, at Piedmont Hills, we are very lucky. We award $10,000 in scholarship money every year to our seniors. We had a former staff member who passed away several years ago, and she obviously invested her money very wisely because she was a school librarian, but left us a very large amount of money when she passed away that we were able to fund scholarships. And so that's our Pirate Way scholarship. We award 6 $1,500 scholarship and 1 $3,000 scholarships. I put that out to the seniors in January. So when we come back from Christmas, usually it's about the middle of January, I'll send that out. I'll send it out to the students, and I'll send it out to the parents so that with the application, basically they have to write an essay. And then we have a committee that reads all the essays and awards the scholarships. I'm always surprised that we don't have more seniors apply for that. And I feel like they should take advantage of that. So look for that. And like I said, that'll be in January. So what if you applied for the FAFSA for some colleges in mind, but didn't end up applying to all of those colleges? Do you still have to go back and update the FAFSA? So you're saying that you listed more colleges on the FAFSA than you actually ended up applying for. Would you have to go back and edit that? Or is it okay, they're going to see that you didn't actually apply, so they're not going to award you any money?
As long as you don't add a school, you don't have to necessarily go back and update it. But if you did add a school, you want to go back and update and resubmit.
And there's also sometimes students apply for more schools than there's space available on there. So we do give instructions during our Cash for College workshop. Basically, once you enter the schools and you receive confirmation that it went through, you can later go back and delete a school because they've already received that information and add another. So there is a way to go over the 10 that usually are within the application. So if you have more schools than space permits, just ask us and we can give you instructions on how to submit additional. Basically, again, once they have the information, you're able to go back and delete a school and add a new one because the college has already been given that information that you're deleting. I'm checking to see scholarships. So students use Naviance quite a bit for college and career research. And then under colleges, one of the options is scholarships. And we have a scholarship list and a national scholarship search. So I would encourage students to use their Naviance account for that. I also put the more general scholarship search link, FastWeb, in the chat. And then again, I'm going to quickly send a text to the other counselor to see if you can join on Wednesday or if it's in person.
Lena, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have another question. So yes, on the FAFSA, we listed a couple of different schools, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think we're going to go back in and add community colleges as well. But we haven't actually sent out, the CSU applications or any application for that matter. Did the schools that we listed on the FAFSA, did they already receive the information, even though we haven't applied to them yet?
Yeah, so they'll link that later. It's okay that you've completed the FAFSA or the DREAM application prior to you actually submitting the college applications. At the end of it, they'll link your application account to your scholarship. To your financial aid application. So hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it was just kind of confusing because I'm like, okay, we haven't applied, but right before this meeting, it looks like I got an email from FAFSA saying that it went through. I just kind of looked it over really quickly, but it looked like I haven't gone into reviewing what it actually says, but I guess it's like that email saying that they received the application, and I don't know what happens after that. I don't know. Obviously, we're going to send out the applications, and so I guess we'll hear from the colleges then.
Absolutely. So I think that they only contact those who followed through with the application as well. So as soon as students receive the, once you're admitted, then they'll send information about the financial aid package that you qualify for. So there's a few more steps. You apply once they make their decision about whether or not you're admitted to their campus. If you're admitted, one of the things you'll receive before you'd have to make the decision on May 1st and commit is what financial aid they're going to be able to offer at that campus. And again, students can use that information to make their decision of which campus they're going to choose.
And that's why they'll want to make sure they're checking their school's portal. So like, for instance, if they apply to San Jose State, they want to keep checking that San Jose State portal, because then the financial aid offer is going to be listed on their portal, and then they have to accept it or not. Depending on what aid they got, we'll see, okay, I got this grant, I got this loan, accept it or not.
Excellent. Thank you. This has been so helpful.
Good. That's always the goal.
And I'm trying, so Ms. Miller Cody says parents are welcome to join her for her scholarship presentation to students. I'm asking her if she can send us a link. And so I'll get that answer for you in just a second.
So question about the FAFSA, is it recommended for all students to apply, or only students that, or I'm assuming you're asking like only students that think they're going to qualify?
We're strongly encouraging all students to apply. What's interesting, and we're going to have to see how we're going to manage this, is I believe that next year California is requiring it of all seniors unless a parent specifically comes in and opts out. So that'll be a new challenge for us to figure out how are we going to get the entire senior class to do this. But it's something we for years encouraged the entire senior class to do for a lot of reasons. One thing is there are two different things. There's merit-based and there's need-based money. And so sometimes students might qualify for a scholarship merit-based, but part of the requirements to get that scholarship is that they filled out the FAFSA. For these San Jose Promise Grant, some of the community colleges, it is not need-based. So students might actually qualify for the tuition, free tuition, just because they are attending and they receive that through filling out the FAFSA. Sometimes students' families' income can change. So, it might be right now that you don't meet those requirements, but later on something happens, which I hope not, and you need that extra financial support. It's a little bit easier to work with the financial aid office if you've already submitted the FAFSA. So if there's a change in income. So for scholarship consideration, possible free tuition for community college, in case your circumstances change, for a lot of those reasons, we really encourage all students to just fill out that form. It just gives you some options later that you may not even know you are going to qualify for or need. And if either of the other counselors have any other suggestions, or reasons, feel free to jump in.
I also feel like for many of the loan programs, if you're going through the student aid process, you're going to get a much better loan. Many of the ones that you go through some private parties, you'll have to start paying immediately, rather than if you go through the financial aid process through the student loan process, whether that's a parent loan or a student loan. I would highly recommend going through the FAFSA process or the DREAM application process even if you may not qualify for certain things and you may qualify for loans. That's my recommendation as well.
And I definitely, just from my personal experience, would encourage all students to submit FAFSA or DREAM, because you really never know what you may be awarded. Like, for example, when I was a senior, like I didn't think I was gonna get that much financial aid just because of my parents' income, but I actually ended up getting for grad school and undergrad, all the institutions I attended, I ended up getting quite a lot of aid for community college, for the UC I attended, and for the CSU I attended. So I definitely would encourage you to not kind of like rule it out that, oh, I make too much, or for whatever reason, you may not think you'll get it, because I got quite a lot of aid.
So we got 2 more questions. And then we're going to be coming up to our time to end. So is there a deadline to accept the grant that's offered by the college? Is it after the college acceptance deadline? So you guys want to answer that?
So unless someone else has a better answer, my answer is you're going to need to read carefully the deadlines given to you by that campus, as they could vary. And so I don't know of a specific deadline to tell you, but I know that campuses can set deadlines, and they can actually revoke an admissions offer if you don't meet their deadlines. So even housing deadlines, there's just going to be different deadlines that you're going to have to meet that could vary by campus. So that's where, again, those to-do lists are going to come in really handy to make sure that there's no deadline that campus is set that you have to meet that might be earlier than other campuses.
Oh, sorry, just to clarify, were you asking about grants? Because I see accept the grant. Are you talking about accepting financial aid, I think, in referring to grants? So yeah, you'll have to really just check on the college portal and read all emails carefully to make sure that you're meeting any financial aid specific deadlines as well.
Okay. And then finally, our last question for today, may we know about what they require to qualify for FAFSA besides income, parent income or student income, just to give them an idea of what they have to put in?
Like what other information is in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a huge bulk of it. So a lot of demographic information, your name, your address, just some basic information about student and parent, but the bulk of the application really does get into student and family income, and it gets very specific into your income and assets. And so that would be, again, better addressed, because some people might have information they have to list that other families don't have. And so I really would go to the step-by-step FAFSA workshop, because they're going to take you through that application step by step and make sure you understand each part. And if you're not sure if some certain income or assets need to be reported, or sometimes they don't even know, do I need to report income for, if there's a divorce or a separate household, or all of those individual questions would be best addressed probably at a Cash for College workshop, where they walk you through step by step. You have one for us on November 30th. If you don't want to wait that long, as soon as I get the flyer, I'll send it out, and you can go to another campuses if they're earlier than ours. But that's probably where I'd recommend you go, because they'll take you through it step by step. And just a quick note, Miss Miller Cody got back to me. She says parents are welcome. The scholarship workshop will be on Zoom, that the students are actually putting it on, the California Scholarship Federation students. And so she will remind them to advertise it to parents as well. So she's the presenter, but they're the ones who are coordinating the activities. So she'll have them let you know about that event. That's next Wednesday at 1:15, I believe. And so that should be coming out to parents from our CSF club, and hopefully you'll hear from them soon.
Okay, we got a couple more questions. Came in just under the wire. On the UC application form, if you want to put an education program you did over the summer, what grade time frame should you choose? If you did it the summer after junior year, do you check the 11th or 12th grade for that program? I think the summer before is considered the next year grade you're going into, right? So if you did it the summer after your junior year, that's actually considered your senior year.
So typically it's that way, but a lot of times they'll have instructions at the top. And so yes, typically, but if it says anything different, follow what they say. So we usually consider it the following year. That being said, again, read those notes carefully at the top, because sometimes they'll indicate where to put it.
Okay. And then does applying for the FAFSA impact the admission decision by the college?
No, they're two separate departments. And so it is not part of the decision.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you to the counselors for joining us today and answering all these questions. I always really appreciate when you guys are able to come. And thank you to Margaret, our new counselor, for joining us for the very first time. So like I teased a little earlier, next week we are talking about what would be considered normal teenage behavior and what is more worrisome teenage behavior. So hopefully this will be helpful to parents. But other than that, you guys have a great week and enjoy your weekend. We're about to have another heat wave, I think.
Oh.
All right.
Oh no.
I know. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good